Sorry, just getting loosened up here. Loosey goosey. How'd you like that? I told everybody about your tanked palm print there. Token joke. Not many people know that you're the untamed tainter. I think that's what the local papers are calling you. The tank painter. Leave you black and blue tank. The old tank painter. I'm so fucking busy at work. It's ridiculous. I'm so tired. But this story I'm about to cover is like blowing my mind. Thank you for the resubscription, Legend. Use that Austin alimony. That's what I'd use for all those subscription fees, okay?
What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They wanna let go.
I've been, damn, Atsuko's over here offering happy endings and shit. I have a question. Do you think, so right now we have Patreon, right? Do you think more people would sign up for Patreon if instead of Patreon it was YouTube memberships?
Listen up now.
So the argument there is there's less friction, right? For Patreon, you have to sign up to Patreon, you have to go get the link, you have to do all that, blah, blah, blah. YouTube memberships, you sign up right on YouTube, and when I do a members-only video, it just pops up on your news feed. But the shitty thing about that is if I lose the channel, I lose all my, like my channel gets banned, which they just randomly do. I lose all my members, I lose that channel, I lose ways to contact them, I lose everything. I have to start over. With Patreon, if I lose my channel, then I can just send all the patrons to a different channel. Raymond till death. I'm trying to find a more stable way to support the channel, because I'm not gonna be able to make content 7 days a week. Donations are down, the economy's shit. Like, I'm just trying to find a more stable way. I don't know how to explain it. And I am going to be firing dildos out of an air cannon. So, already started on that. Get ready for the first relaunch of Cold Beer Creations. where we do the dildo cannon. See, and I think YouTube, so YouTube has Patreon and a way to donate. Like if you want to donate like super chats, they take like 30 or 40% of it, which is pretty extreme. Twitch subscribers are cool, right? I can turn on subscriptions only, but they take half of it. I don't know. That's the timer. That's the music. Let me get it stopped. This story we're going to talk about it tonight is wild, and it's actually a YouTuber that I called out before. Broke this story, at least to me. I've never heard this story before. It's the guy who called out the man who covers and helps the inbred community up in West Virginia. So Tyler is the guy who called him out and basically said he was a scammer. But he has redeemed himself so far. We'll check it out. Kick, the reason we're not using Kick currently was because my streaming was down. I couldn't stream. Like my stream key and URL didn't work. It's back now. I just got a relaunch on Kick for the weekends or whatever. Here we go.
Hey Daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank you for watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in?
I sell X40 patches.
Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her coochie loves that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Will Bird. This is the Cold Beer Confessional. Thank you for joining us. Busy day today. It has a lot of work going on at the campground currently. We're getting ready for Memorial Day. So that's coming up. Memorial Day weekend, I guess. It actually will start for us on Friday, but from then on out, the campground stays pretty busy. So if you've got like maintenance products and stuff that you do, which I'm the maintenance guy if you don't know at the campground. So if you got like maintenance and stuff that you need to get done, you probably need to get it done before then. There is the last big thing we were prepping for was a thing called Noli Fest, which is like a late April thing, which is kind of like, it's almost like a test. Like if something fails during Noli Fest, you know you got to fix it before Memorial Day. So I'm working on grills, making grills for all the campsites, doing some pressure washing, cleaning. We had a couple old people. Look, if you go to a campground on the weekend, I understand basically like expecting pretty much like peace and quiet, the river, the woods, the whatever. But if you go to like a working campground during the week and during business hours, you should probably expect to hear noise, right? We had some old people that got pissed off at the campground today, like, are they going to be running that pressure washer all day? Yeah, bro, it's a Tuesday. And yeah, it's a Tuesday in the middle of the week. What do you expect? It's not like the campground just sits here and is one with nature. The same thing happened with me. It was a Thursday, and the neighbor who owns the campground beside us come over, and I was probably 3/4 of a mile away from his campground. I was on the opposite side of our campground using a leaf blower. And this motherfucker come running up on a side-by-side and thought he was going to get out and cuss me. I'll be the last motherfucker you ever cuss. Use this leaf blower to blow you into the fucking river. Anyways, he come up to me and he's like, okay, how much longer are you going to be using that? I'm like, what? The leaf blower? Until I get done blowing leaves. And he's like, well, I got people over here. All they can hear is leaf blower over at my house. Because he has like a house on the property. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, and he named the owner. And I was like, she's not here. I just talked to her. I'm blowing leaves. And he's like, oh, I think you got a shitty fucking attitude. And I said, I think if you fucking talk to me like that again, we're going to have a problem. He got mad and hopped back on his side-by-side and took off. But I don't know. I understand, like, if it's like 8 o'clock at night or if it's the weekend. I even on, I was way behind. And I was actually thinking about working on Mother's Day because Mariah celebrated Mother's Day on Saturday. She had to work on Mother's Day. And I was like, you know what? I could probably knock out a couple grills. Well, I got some downtime just sitting here. It was before, like, I went to Mom's grave and stuff. And even then, I was like, no, dude, it's a Sunday. It's Mother's Day. There might be people, like, cooking out or their mom's coming over or they're hanging out, having a picnic. I won't do it. But, like, on a Tuesday at 3 p.m., you're telling me I can't. You tell me I can't run a fucking pressure washer? That's your complaint? Y'all are fucking crazy. Just because you're retired for like 30 years now doesn't mean the world retired. I don't know. That's just one of my pet peeves. It wasn't even me pressure washing. It was somebody else. It was a female that works there. But I felt like that's why they said something. Like, because at the same time, I was grinding and welding and cutting metal. And they didn't say shit about me. Right, then they said something to her about her because they thought they could kind of push her over. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It is what it is, guys. That's just my day. I don't know. I like to share my day with you when we start to stream. So I've been doing that. I've been designing the dildo cannon, and I'm thinking about having it. Now, here is another clip that I can get out of this. There's a special someone that we all know on this channel. So I'm going to make the dildo cannon for the Cold Brick Creations channel. If you're not following my YouTube channel, Cold Brick Creations, or my TikTok, you probably don't want to miss that. We're making a dildo cannon. But there's another person that we know on this show that I think, as a medically retired wounded warrior, deserves a 21-gun salute with a dildo cannon. So I think I'm gonna work that up and get that going, and see if we can get like at least a clip out of that, like a gag or something to post on TikTok. But he's got me blocked. So when I get maybe a Twitter post up, I need you guys to share it. But I am working on the cannon. The problem with making a video is I think, I could make that in like 2 or 3 days in my spare time. I could probably make it one day if I didn't have anything to do. But like in my spare time when I'm not working there or working here, I could probably make that in 2 or 3 days. But filming it basically doubles the time. But I need to film the 3D print process, the silicone mold process, the cannon assembly, and then I'll use a Saturday or something to do the firing test. But I don't think I'm actually going to do like 21 guns. Obviously, it's just going to be one. I think I'm just going to really poorly edit it to where there's like 5 of me, and then there's 4 of me with 1 for extra. And then I'm just going to like edit it, like stack it on top of each other to where it looks like I'm doing all 3. You know what I'm saying? To make it look like I'm doing the firing commands. I may even have Mariah be the person who does like the big check marks. Oh, onesies and twosies, baby. What else? Mariah works tomorrow. We're getting some trees cut tomorrow. I've still got some. So right now, the entire riverfront is done with grills. I just did the inner one in the inner loop. So that leaves, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think I've got 9 of them that I still need to do that are like spots that'll be rented out, not long term. Long term, I get to it whenever. Also, there's some lady that's very upset with me because I weeded part of her plant down. So she went and complained to my boss, and my boss is like, well, it happens. It's an accident. I didn't destroy the plant. What actually happened, you guys ever weeded? Said he was shot in an FBI raid or something that he used to cover. That's Jeff B. He said he was shot at an FBI retirement party. If you've ever weed eated beside a fence, depending on which way you're going, because it doesn't always do this, but if like, so the weed eater discharges that way to your left. So if you got the fence on your right, when you hit a fence, it pulls the weed eater into it. Like the string grabs it and it pulls it into it. So she has this like metal cage around this plant, like a flower. But it's almost like a bush. Like it's probably got 30 fucking stems that come up out of the ground. And when I was weed eating, I got too close to that metal, and it was on my right. So it like pulled the weed eater into it and cut like 2 of the stems off her plant out of like 30. So she went and complained to my boss. My boss is like, oh, well, whatever. You know, it happens. Sorry. Well, what am I supposed to do? Like, what do you want from me? So then she said, I'll just have to take it up with Will myself. And then my boss laughed at her because that's probably not going to end well. It's very hard to catch me during a good time. A good time, or any time that would be a good time to try to address me in that way. And I guarantee you she's not going to catch me at that time. I already had my issues with her. Honestly, like, I don't even weed eat her spot until it looks like shit. Because she claimed one time, literally, you know those seeds that fall and they call them helicopters because they spin, right? They're like little seeds with a wing on them that falls. I don't know what kind of tree that is. I don't care. But one of those fell near her campground, near her camping spot. Like she's got a camping spot with like a rock wall. Outside the rock wall, one of those fell and became a sapling that was like this big. Okay, it's a maple. Thank you. It became a maple sapling that was like this big. It had 2 leaves on it. Okay. Now again, I don't weed eat her spot very rarely because she always complains about shit. So I hadn't weeded her spot in a couple months, and this maple seed had fallen and sprouted. So I came through there. There's like still some leaves from the fall. This is last spring. There's still some leaves from like the fall weeded, and I cut down that sapling. We have a ton of maples, I guess, and like anytime they fall in the gravel, they try to become like saplings. So I probably cut down 300 of them that day. So I cut down this one. And she flipped. She was literally in her camper, like watching me out the window, waiting for me to cut down that sapling. And literally, it was like this tall. Like it was as big around as like the stem of the tree was as big around as a toothpick. It looked like a weed. They do sprout in gutters really bad. She was watching out the window, waiting for me to cut that, and then come outside to tell me that was her tree. And I'm like, that's not your tree. It just fell and sprouted like all the other ones that have sprouted. And she's like, yeah, but once that sprouted, I decided that I wanted that tree. So that was my tree. I can't believe you cut down my tree. It was at this point that I gave up on communication. I just started the weed eater back up, revved it as loud as I could, and tried to throw some gravel her way. And she went back inside. Like she's kind of crazy. She's kind of crazy. I get along with everybody at the campground. I wouldn't say get along. I don't speak unless spoken to with everybody at the campground. But this one's something special, dude. No one would have complaints about me at the campground is what I'm saying, right? Like no one would tell you like I'm their friend or like we hang out and have like in-depth conversations or I say anything more than like hi to them. But no one would complain about me except for her. That's the only person that would complain about me. Anyways, Eric at Freedom Scripture Elite, call right now, spreading his bullshit. It's Jeff B. Oh, what's his username on there? P2P. His most recent username was Diddy Chaser. Diddy Tipper, Diddy Chaser, Diddy something. I don't know. Nobody would complain about me. Actually, not to toot my own horn. I let Mariah toot it most of the time. But like people have even come up and like told like the campground owner, like, oh, I'm glad Will's here because like now the maintenance is kept up with and the yard looks good and it's mowed. Because the last guys that did maintenance for us, which I think that guy kind of got some karma headed his way because he ended up getting cancer and dying. But the last guy that did maintenance, he would just find ways to hide. Like, I'm trying to get done as quick as possible so I can leave there and come do this. That was his only job. So he was just trying to beat the clock, right? He needed 8 hours a day. So he would hide for like 4 hours and piddle around for 2 hours and work for 2 hours. You know what I'm saying? But I want to get it done so I can leave and go to my other shit that I enjoy more. It is whatever it is. I don't know. Is anybody in the Grifter Elite chat that can identify Jeff B? I've been banned. She used to have me blocked on Twitter, I think. Shaq got her to unblock me. But does anybody know if they can identify Jeff B? He's a lying piece of shit. He's always been a lying piece of shit. Always. Still lives with his mom, by the way. He tried to tell us he's worth $9 million and that he owned a chain of a bunch of dart stores. He owns one dart store. That does like a couple $100,000 a year. I mean, it's nothing to shake a stick at. It's a decent business that's surviving, but he's not worth $9 million, no matter how much rent he saves living with his mom. Anyways, what else are we going to do? The main story, I guess. All right, so this guy, you guys probably recognize this guy. So this guy I actually had some respect for, and maybe I still should. This is not exactly settled, but I actually had some respect for this guy. Now, I like the way he covers the news, even though sometimes I disagree with him. I feel like sometimes he champions liberal causes, not because they're the right cause, but just because they're a liberal cause. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't mind anybody that champions a cause, whether it's labeled liberal, if it's the right thing. Like, that's my mindset. Is it the right thing to do or is it not? Some people support things just because the right told them to or just because the left told them to. And I feel like it's that's this guy. He supports things on the left just because they're on the left sometimes, which I disagree with. But he does good news. You guys have probably seen him. He is on TikTok. His name is Photo G Steve, and it says News UNC. I do news, and he was an AP reporter. He sells his stories to the AP press. He sells photos too. He's a photographer. So like if he gets like a news story, he sells it to the AP. He was basically doing it freelance. COVID hit and he started making TikTok videos. He blew up. Like he's got 1.1 million followers just on TikTok. So here he is talking, and you can listen to him. Sounds just like him, but what's his username? I don't know why nobody would tell me his username.
Last week, the day it happened, I learned the identity of the police mag dumped on and killed when he... Last week, the day it happened, I learned the identity of the attempted child molester that Seattle police mag dumped on and killed when he believed he was meeting a mother who would sit back while he used her 7 and 11-year-old daughters for sex. The ramifications of who this man is are massive, and I held on to this until now for the integrity of the investigation, as it's looking like there may be a trail of many more victims going back decades, and capital crimes may also be involved. And he may have been even more capable than most, as he was a high-ranking U.S. military official. I was able to capture his license plate the day of the shooting and then began a deep dive into who he was, where he's been, and to what level of power he attained as that military official. Here's what I will release now as the coroner...
But when they talk, it highlights their name, right? Or maybe if you're not a member, it does. Usually when they talk, it either brings their name to the top of the list or it highlights their name as they're talking.
Released his name, but make no mistake, much more will be coming. I can only hope that the powers that once protected him will also not come into play to keep me from telling you, the public, about who he was.
So this is a news story he's doing about...
7-year-old general practice and emergency medicine doctor, husband and high-ranking military officer who once oversaw Guantanamo Bay's emergency combatant medical operations under Presidents George Bush and President Barack Obama.
So he's a high-ranking military member. It says massive discovery in last week's Seattle police shooting. But there was also a claim at the first of this video that he was abusing somebody's children.
His name was Bruce Menley. His official title at his peak was NATO Role 3 International Medical Unit Commander, and he retired as a captain in the Navy. I'm working through previous court cases he has had. I've been to his multi-million-dollar home in Kitsap County. I've also learned he was short-term renting out space on his property to unsuspecting people. I've also worked through more of his history and work career. As mentioned earlier, when I work on these types of things, what matters to me most is to not disclose anything that could harm me.
It sounds like he was abusing the children of his significant other.
investigation. I'm only putting this out now as the coroner did release the mandatory death report, and at this point the investigation is expanding rapidly. Just today, the U.S. Department of Justice agreed to pay $183.7 million to settle its mishandling of Larry Nassar's massive sexual crimes against women and girls. As I go through this in the coming weeks, if it is found that people or institutions alongside of Menley turned a blind eye or aided in his protection, then I commit to you now to make sure that the public knows who they are. Last week, the day it happened, I learned the identity of the attempted child molester that Seattle police killed when he believed he was meeting a mother who would sit back while he used her 7 and 11.
So it was a sting. He thought he was meeting a mother to abuse her 7 and 11-year-old children.
Child molester that Seattle police. Last week, the day it happened.
And the Seattle police ended up shooting him.
Identity of the attempted child molester that Seattle police mag dumped on and killed when he believed he was meeting a mother who would sit back while he used her 7 and 11-year-old daughters for sex. The ramifications of who this man is are massive, and I held on to this until now for the integrity of the investigation.
Oh God, it's on Rumble.
Maybe a trail of many more victims. I have now uncovered.
Let's see if it's Jeff, I guess.
He's firing all his that it would have turned. I mean, it would have been pure pandemonium. It would have been pure chaos if that were to happen. And I think that he was given limited options. Okay, I want to read a comment real quick. I find it interesting that all of these lying verses are now coming out against how they. So this is something I'll just say straight up. Like, there are a few people that are they're guessing who you are. I'm not. You gave me your username is
who gives a shit?
So because I don't recognize your voice, and some of them have said they recognize your voice, and I personally
congratulations.
Don't recognize.
Right.
Well,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, I give two.
That's 100% him.
But
okay, so here's a question. When did you? This is my question. When did you just say, okay, Trump, you just you did it for me, like, this is it, I support you, but like, you should have done, what was there a specific time where you're like, I can't go with you anymore?
Well, it's not necessarily that I can't go with it. It's just we're coming to an end point. And when you go back and you listen, like I said, you can't have a 2024 until you have a 2020, or I'm sorry, till you fix 2020. So you're going to have to explain.
He's just trying to fit in anywhere.
With your
what a
theory
fucking retard.
that if Trump would have done X, Y, and Z, why he.
By the way, these people are still Q-tards, right? They just hate Phil.
President, right? So let's say hypothetically,
Jeff B said that if in 2021, if it wasn't fixed, he would call for the trial and hanging of Trump and Flynn and everybody associated with them for treason if he wasn't back in the White House with all of his evidence. He's been saying this literally for years. The same bullshit.
All mosquitoes in the air.
Anyways, whatever. That's less interesting now. But it is Jeff B. But those are the type of people that they're still Q-tards. Some of them still believe in revaluation. Some of them still believe that Trump's still president. A lot of them were shared like Derek Johnson videos, but they're like, fuck Phil. Like, I can't. If they can't see it's all a grift by now, then they're not going to. They're just going to be retarded until everything ends and blows up in their faces. All right, back to this guy. This is Photo G Steve, and he's covering a story.
Previous cases involving the high-ranking military official Bruce Meneely, who lived on a multi-million-dollar property that Seattle police shot over 20 times when he showed up to a hotel to meet a mother who he believed would rent him her 7 and 11-year-old daughters for his pleasure. Though he found out that this was a sting and pulled a weapon, police then pulled weapons. They won.
Holy shit. He found out it was a sting and pulled a gun? That's got to be if you find out it's a sting and it's the police, not just there's a bunch of people that do it on social media now, right? If you find out it's the police, that's got to be like a suicide by police thing, right?
This man was the commander of Guantanamo Bay
There's no way that you could shoot your way out of a police sting. It's just not happening.
medical facilities for multiple presidents during the U.S.'s war on terror, overseeing care.
They not like us. They not like us.
Enemy combatants and considered potential terrorists. Please, real quick, share this and save to help push it. I'll explain why shortly. I have struggled to get national media to even touch this story at all.
That's another thing that I like about him is he covers news stories that maybe is a little too messy for the mainstream media.
Same way I did weeks ago when former Seattle mayor's home was raided and his adult son was arrested for distributing images of children. Even though my day job is to distribute stories to local and national media outlets. I've now found multiple cases in the past where Manili was involved in sex trafficking and escaped jail time or other further consequence by claiming he had a mental health issue. So instead, he was given court-ordered counseling. I also now have his mental health evaluations, though some of the records I still don't have because the military was overseeing those cases. I want to show you all of these documents and put this together, but here's the problem. TikTok is trying to prove to the U.S. government that it's willing to hold back rapid spread of information and doesn't need to be banned because of it. In turn, they did the following to my account last week after I posted about this. They pulled the initial video and gave my account a strike, even though it didn't show the body cam footage or anything like that. I won the appeal, but hours later they notified me that even though it didn't violate guidelines, they were adding a cover to it, removing it from FYP, and removing all funding because it was found not to be in the interest of the public to see. They then have dropped my RPM rate in the creator program down to 14 cents, and also removed funding from the follow-up video where I showed you exactly who this man was and what positions he held in the military. I have not insinuated a conspiracy or anything like that. I have simply shown what the available documents plainly state with this 18-year-old girl from Ventura County.
So it seems like he covers all different types of news stories. That one about the military member is just interesting.
Driving an Infiniti G37, or as police are now alleging, a deadly weapon, was chased by cops at over 100 miles per hour after also crashing into cops before being taken into custody by cops in a dead end after she took a wrong turn in a pursuit that ironically started as a speeding violation.
Everybody in the chat saying I can fix her.
The officers were notified of a pursuit coming into the Ventura area from Santa Barbara County just before 9 p.m. Saturday. The driver at the wheel is alleged to be Felicity Hughes of Camarillo. She eventually exited the freeway and went towards Auto Drive Mall before she turned down a dead-end road.
Yeah, I know that some of the pedo hunter guys are actually, like some of the police are actually supporting what they're doing, but man, it's a slippery slope. I don't think it needs to be done. I think they need to commission them, task force them, though even if it's privately funded, they need some type of fallback on to where they're following the rules to where they can be prosecuted. A lot of these people are doing it for fame, right? They claim they're there for the kids. They claim they're there to take it, but they're doing it for fame. They like the big, I'm going to meet up with them. Like Chris Hansen. The Chris Hansen thing was never good. You know how many people committed suicide afterwards? You know how many times it was ruled entrapment and they couldn't get, the Chris Hansen shit was ruled entrapment and they couldn't fucking get a conviction. He fucked it up and he had NBC behind him. Like, I just think it's bad news. And even if there are some people that are doing it right and the police are supporting them, that inspires other people that are going to do it wrong.
Road onto a private lot. She then made a U-turn and hit the gas before striking a patrol vehicle, leaving that cop car undrivable and an officer with minor injuries. She was then taken into custody without further incident. Hughes was charged with evading police and willful disregard.
Damn, it must be cold out there. See, she's driving around with her high beams on.
With a deadly weapon. She was transported to Todd Road Jail in Santa Paula with a $50,000 bail set. An on-scene photographer whose tag below captured the scene because when news breaks...
I think what's going to happen is someone is going to roll up to a YouTuber sting or a TikTok sting or whatever, and just like this guy, they're going to pull a weapon.
I'm out here on a tragedy. This is northbound Canyon here in Puyallup. Behind me, a single fatality on a motorcycle involving another vehicle. Thankfully, that vehicle did stay on scene. Here's the story.
This story's changed a lot and now is a hit and run, and the family of the deceased and investigators need your help. At about 9:22 on Saturday, a 37-year-old male on a motorcycle traveling at a high rate of speed northbound on Canyon struck the back of a vehicle. That vehicle was already traveling at approximately 40 miles per hour. The 37-year-old male rider was pronounced deceased on scene. What has now come to light, though, is investigators believe that there's another vehicle involved, possibly an Isuzu Rodeo with a spare tire mounted to the back. It's believed that the vehicle struck the motorcycle before it collided with the other vehicle. Pierce County Sheriff's Department is asking anyone who knows anything to please call 911 with info. By the way, it appears we've been the only news group that was on scene so far. We've offered it out to all the other TV outlets, but no takers. Lastly, I've already started to receive pics of potential rodeos from viewers who saw that I was on scene that night. If you are the driver, then seriously consider turning yourself in. The speed of the bike may be a contributing factor, but leaving the scene and waiting for investigators to catch up will dramatically change things for you.
I'm out here on a tragedy. This is northbound Canyon here in Puyallup.
All right, so anyways, we basically established what Steve is, right? Photo Steve, 81. Photo G Steve, 81. And he covers news stories. And he started this with COVID. So he actually still sells news stories to other outlets, the Associated Press and whatever. He sells video, he sells pictures, He writes full stories that go out to the AP, and then the AP picks them up and sends them out to other people. But one of his passions, at least is what he claims, one of his passions when COVID hit was a lot of stories weren't being covered. Now, he doesn't do conspiracies. I've never seen him do like, graphene or snake piss or none of that. But there are some stories that are just a little messy or maybe aren't as developed as they should be for like a news outlet to cover them. So they don't, right? They don't do anything. He got aggravated with that and started covering them himself. But there may be a past to our Photo G Steve, and that is brought to us by Tyler Oliveira, the guy who accused the man who helps out the inbred people in Wisconsin, Mark. He accused him of being a scammer from Soft White Underbelly and kind of got a bunch of hate about it. He did his most recent video from today that was released today is on squatters. And how basically in the state of Washington, you could just move into somebody's house and there's like this one guy. We'll look at this first story. Okay. Let's go back to the front of it. Listen to this.
This is Seattle, Washington City, where you can legally steal other people's homes.
Washington, not Wisconsin, Washington.
Are they going to pay legal fees? Are you going to pay rent this month? If you're on vacation, they can come. Anyone can say, how is this legally even?
When you took some land, I feel like that's the times we're getting back to.
For what?
For being in my home.
If the woman says it's her property, and he says he lives here, and she, well, good for you.
Sorry. I headed to the epicenter of Sang Kim. He recently made national headlines.
All right, so this is the guy that is in a $2 million home that is squatting and refusing to pay rent. And not only is he refusing to pay rent, his legal fees, the owner's trying to get him kicked out, has tried to have him evicted 4 times. This guy, the squatter's legal fees are being paid for by your tax dollars if you live in the state of Washington.
Lines for squatting in this $2 million property in Bellevue, Washington. After the entire neighborhood banded together to shame Kim out of the neighborhood, Seattle's Housing Justice Project paid $88,000 in delinquent rent for Kim.
Pebbles, you remember Jeff B? He is the Grifter Elite's new intel guy. He's over there filling them full of intel tonight.
To his missed rent out of taxpayer dollars.
How much longer are you going to be staying here, sir?
He intentionally is not paying rent. He's exploiting the system.
But why is Kim still squatting in this house? And why won't he simply leave?
Morning, Jonathan. We're back. Hey, what's up? Back at the scene of the crime, man.
So right behind us, we have a beautiful view. We're in a nice-ass neighborhood. How much are these?
So this guy's another journalist that does stories on this type of stuff. Tyler's doing. This is like these houses range between $2 and $3 million. A brand new house is about $4 million, but the houses on the market between 2 and 3.
Houses. I mean, on average, $2 to $3 million. This is the elite Woodridge neighborhood with gorgeous skylines of downtown Bellevue. I mean, everyone wants to live here.
And when I mentioned squatters to you, you said you got to come down here. I have a story for you. And then I saw the story pop up on my Twitter feed.
You can't make this stuff up. It's now a global story. I mean, you've got Daily Mail on this. You've got the Mirror, the
serial squatter. $2 million home.
Covering this. You've got this guy, Kim, who's been staying at this house.
So his neighbors are banding together. The guy who owns it is like Sikh, but his neighbors are banding together to try to shame him into leaving, and he won't.
Now, for more than 2 years now, and he hasn't paid a single penny of rent after the first month, that is.
So we're going to knock on Kim's door right now, ask him if he's going to pay this upcoming rent. So right in front of us, we have 3 no trespassing signs, car parked right in front.
Problem, Kim doesn't pay in May. Singh says he will start the eviction process for the 4th time. There have been...
The 4th time to try to evict a guy. The 4th time. If it goes down on YouTube, I don't know what to tell you. They'll copyright strike it. I'm trying to pause it. I'm trying to talk. I'm trying to skip around. We'll see what happens.
Nearly 2 months of protests, public shaming of Kim to get out, but still, Kim is hunkering down.
So Kim did, in fact, eventually pay the amount he was owed.
Housing Justice Project used taxpayer dollars.
So the rent, the back rent had been paid. $88,000 of back rent was paid, but it was paid by this group called the Housing Justice Project. He's kind of manipulating the system. The Housing Justice Project was put in place in Seattle to help people meet rent during COVID. They were afraid with everything shutting down that people were going to get evicted. So this was a group that used tax dollars, and they were helping people meet rent during COVID. But he's using it to his advantage to intentionally not pay rent and squat in a $2 million home.
That's the key. And
if he changes the locks, he'll go to prison.
knows the system so well.
You think that... I don't know. You don't think somebody's thought of that? Oh, change the locks. It's illegal for him to change locks.
But he can take advantage of it.
But before I confront the squatter, let's talk to the homeowner. There he is.
Here's the homeowner.
Yes, Karan Singh.
Saying you own this home, right?
Yes, sir.
How much does this home cost?
Right now, value is close to $2 million.
Yes.
So I live in this.
He was renting it. He paid first and last and deposit and never paid again.
country 18 years. This is my second investment property, and it took me a while. It's my hard-earned money invested here.
But squatters are almost as hard. Those are two different cases. So overstaying tenant is a civil court to see how much is owed, who's right, who's wrong, who paid, who didn't, how much is there a deal that can be arranged. Squatters are not paying anything. They break into houses. You can go on vacation, they break in your house, you still can't remove them. But either way, it's fucked up.
Who currently lives in this home?
He's a squatter. He has been exploiting the system since 1996. He has done multiple scams, and being a
Wait, okay. Now, I'm going to try to play this out. You listen to me, and let's talk through this. I go to the house and change the locks. I go to jail. Why wouldn't the guy just go back to the house? Yeah, we're just going to keep doing this cycle where I change the locks, I go to jail, and he moves back in. So I've heard him for about, I don't know, a few hours. Is that the cycle we want to play?
immigrant. I was tricked by him, and I trusted him and his family to give him on a rent, but he's not leaving for the last 2 years, and he's exploiting the system.
How did it go down?
2 years.
He paid the first month, and the second month, and the last month as a security deposit, and he didn't pay afterwards.
Okay.
Fourth eviction if he doesn't pay the rent next week.
So when you say fourth eviction, what does that even mean? I would assume the first, second, or third would get him out of the house.
That means there's a housing...
This made national news recently.
The system is protecting, basically. He's paying his rent through our taxpayer money. He's getting a lawyers from our taxpayer money. He's milking the system, and we need to stop it.
How much money have you lost on the property since he's been in here?
It's a lawyer fee close to $35,000. The rent is paid.
There you go. Murder somebody.
I live just 1,000 feet from the property, and I can't drive on this road. And
I don't think these are valid
legally cannot
solutions.
drive through this road.
Yeah, legally I was not able to till last Wednesday. And this should be a message to all the squatters that we will get you.
We will get you.
We will get you. Enough is enough. If you're on vacation,
All right, so that's one type of squatters, and he interviews some neighbors around there, and then he goes to like the crackhead squatters downtown.
Up until recently,
And a lot of these buildings have no power, no electricity, no heat, no air conditioning. So a lot of these buildings are burning down.
building was used as a squatter's haven and just recently fenced off, and recently we're seeing action here where it's being finally demolished. This was, I guess, had been squatted in for months. The neighbors had called multiple 911s, multiple fires. Nothing was ever done about it. The police couldn't really do anything about trespassing because it's on private property.
Because the way the laws are set now, this isn't like theft. As squatters is now a civil matter. You have to prove that they don't belong there, and that can take tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, Pebbles is going through a case. It's stupid expensive. That can take hundreds of thousands of dollars. Time, they're there destroying your property. It's changed the laws is what they need to do, but...
Yeah, you can see all the boards, all access points, the broken windows. I'm sure there was working plumbing, showers.
See anything going on here as relates to squatting? Or anyone actually spends how expensive?
This has to happen multiple times before action.
So a lot of these people are playing the victim too. Like, what am I supposed to do? I can't find a house. I'm homeless. I can't do this. I can't do that. I could have more empathy. I still think what they're doing is wrong and fucking over the homeowner, and I would still side with the homeowner. There needs to be other systems in place to get people off the street and not be homeless. I think we could fix homelessness for the people who want it fixed, who want a place to stay. There's other people that just want to fucking shoot some trank and pass out underneath a bridge. But I would have more empathy for those people than I would someone who's working, making money, doing their thing, and just refusing to pay rent.
Action has been taken, and thankfully we're seeing that action being taken now. We've cleared over 1.2 million pounds of trash, 35,000 needles. We've found 12 dead bodies, and we've helped hundreds of people off the streets, into detox, back home, back to mom, back to grandma, back to their families, get clean and sober, get a job, because it doesn't seem like any other social service wants to do anything.
They're trying to help people.
Next to all these squatter houses. It makes all the sense.
This is where we pulled over.
So last video or last week or something, they went to a squatter motel.
I went.
And they met this guy, so they met him again. Now, a different set of YouTubers did a video on them. Basically, like Tyler did a video on Tyler busting his balls about, like, basically using poor people for entertainment, drug addicts, and even accused him of setting the hotel on fire.
Work on that card, bro.
Dude, we gotta talk. 11 days later, the building was found to have burned down. I had no clue what happened to him since, and the viewers loved him.
Oh,
I got all your tools.
I'm a boss. You got my Ray-Ban back, my Ray-Ban. This is where I'm gonna make my fortune.
Are you concerned about this right here?
What happened to us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, me and Tyler. We came last time.
And he tried to burn me, huh? I might not even be alive. Besides, 10 million people saw you, and you about your project in here. It's blue, it's nicely painted.
Well, first, I painted it white. I wanted white on white.
So this guy claims that he's in an abandoned house that's been empty, and he's been renovating it with his own money and shit that he finds, and he's a painter. He's been painting it. He claims if the owner asked him to leave, he would just leave.
I want to hear a story here. Yeah, but then I ran out of paint.
Even this lady that's with the group that's trying to help these types of people says, oh, it's better to have somebody that stays here that wants to take care of the property that's using it as their house than it would to be just a random homeless person in here using it to shoot up dope and leave over and over again, setting fires and shit like that.
What are you supposed to do? So let me know you've like. Oh, that's that fool. So actually, I want to bring this up, Caesar. We have some Australian YouTubers who thought we building after meeting.
Here they are.
Look what it says in the corner. The footage of the house burning is from the Joe Show.
Wait, the news footage used Joe's footage?
Yeah.
That means he was the first
He was
one
the
there.
first person there. After all the shit I've seen in this video, I'm going to say, just my opinion, not real. These guys burnt these men alive.
What actually happened? You know, the toilet flush is backwards down here. Can you give us a tour? Sorry? Yeah. I turn off the speaker.
Quiet at night, no fires.
All right, so now remember Photo G Steve, the guy that I said I respected, that does the news, that I enjoy his content most of the time. This guy is a fire commissioner. He works for the AP and sells news stories. He's an influencer that's making a decent living, millions of followers. He's kind of a famous TikToker. He's got Twitter. He's got Instagram. He's got everything, right? He's doing well for himself. He's got multiple streams of income, making probably a ton of money off social media. He's also, like I said, a fire commissioner where he collects a salary. And his day job, as he claims, is selling these stories to the press where he makes, I'm sure, a decent amount of money, right? If your stories are getting purchased, you're not getting pennies on the fucking dollar, especially from like the AP or something where they distribute it out to all kinds of newspapers. Now, let's talk about Photo Steve, who is apparently a squatter himself. This blew my mind because he's got so much to lose. He's got everything to lose. And this motherfucker is not only apparently a squatter, the house has already been sold to someone else. He didn't pay rent. He didn't purchase it, even though he said he was going to. The house is sold to someone else, so he's fucking both of those people over. And he ran some type of scam on at least 10 different people have come forward. And he claimed that he was supposed to build their house, remodel their house, renovate their house, and he's taking their money and dipped the fuck out. Sounds like he's a real piece of shit.
Party, so you're added security to the block.
That's what he feels like the other day. He was like, "Thank you," and I was like,
I hear that, you know. It's better to have a known neighbor and resident than a revolving door. So you're holding down the fort.
All those little
And that door stays locked at night?
all the time.
Yeah.
So all those little things add up to confidence and trust, and those are the things that a painter needs from his client.
He's speaking business needs right now. You got all your tools back too? Caesar live full-time rent-free for the last 2 years. Want it back, assuming he's responsible and doesn't burn the place down.
It's been a pleasure, man.
What happens when you buy a home? There's an old tenant who's been living in there rent-free for the last 2 years who refuses to leave, leaving you with $1.4 million less stuck.
$1.4 million. Now, this is in a different area. This is a much nicer house than the one we just saw for $2 million. I don't know if you just saw the Zillow listing, but this is a nicer house than the one we just saw for $2 million. And and here you go. That's him. That's 100% him. He refused to pay to the original owner any rent. That he wanted to renegotiate the deal. They couldn't come to terms on the renegotiation, right? Then he wanted to buy the house outright and then ghosted the guy. So the guy basically says, okay, well, I'll serve eviction. I'll put it back on the market. Someone else buys it and goes through all the paperwork, gets it bought, and he's still living there. This is a very nice house. This is like a compound. Do you see the Zillow listing? 4-bed, 4-bath, 4,000 square feet. 4,000 square feet. That's insane, dude. That's insane. Here we go.
$0.4 million less stuck with legal.
And how much is he paying for it? Not a fucking dime, dude. Look at this. $7,500 a month. $7,500 a month in rent. And he hasn't paid a dime for years. For years. Dude, this is fuck. Why isn't everybody doing this?
Legal fees in court for the last 8 months, enforcing you and your 4 kids to move in with your mom and dad. Well, that's allegedly the case of our alleged white-collar squatter, Steve Hick.
We just want to take a look at the squatting epidemic in the United States, but this is unique because we have a guy in a position of power, relative wealth, doing well for himself. He's not some degenerate, jobless bum breaking into someone's house.
Doing very well for himself.
Well-known figure in the community. Is he legally allowed to be there right now? Based on what I can tell, I mean, the answer is no. Just for the viewers out there, a month or two ago, I called someone out as a scammer, and it turns out they weren't exactly a scammer. So coming into this situation, I'm a little bit skeptical. I want to make sure this guy is in fact innocent until proven guilty. We want to hear both sides fully and then come to a conclusion, if any.
Yeah, you know, and this is really complicated for me as well. I was a little hesitant to take on the story, and frankly, I don't know where it's going to go because it's still early on. He's not only an industry colleague, I would consider him a friend, somebody who's given me news tips, somebody who's helped me out in the field, like one of the nicest guys you'll meet. But the allegations are just like too ridiculous now to ignore. So as a journalist,
this is insane, dude. Would anybody look at this guy with millions of followers on social media and he's not fucking, he's squatting?
I've just got to be objective now.
Okay, listen. If you don't watch the rest of the video, I will simplify what he claims. He claims that he had a contract to purchase. Now, this isn't supported by any documents. All the documents go against him, all the court documents. That he wanted to exercise his contract to purchase, and the guy refused to let him purchase it. Cool. If that's true, why don't you fucking move somewhere where you are paying? Right? If the guy doesn't want you to purchase it, doesn't want to sell it to you, fine. Move somewhere where you are paying. Buy a different house. You wouldn't continue to live there for years after the house has already been sold. Even if you have a case, to go to court and say, look, they were supposed to sell it to me. I had a contract to purchase it. They bypassed me and sold it to someone else. I should be allowed to buy this house. Why are you still fucking sitting there?
He has more than 1 million followers on all of his social media platforms, and he's just well respected.
I don't know what we just went over how the laws, eviction is a civil matter. The police don't come out and do it in this state.
He does decent work, especially during the time
or these areas,
American
cities, whatever they are.
Decline. Frankly, I've called him several times already and had private conversations, and I'm like, dude, I don't know if these are true, these allegations that is, but if they are, you got to like settle these. And I'm just trying to walk him off the cliff and say,
I should have called in and gave him the tip on Bert.
Look, man, it's not worth your career. He knows the law. He knows how to take advantage of the system.
Before confronting Steve at his own garage sale, Jonathan and I were invited to a victims party hosted by several alleged victims of Steve, appearing in person and on Zoom. I'm here with
Lee Strom.
And what did Steve do to you?
So this is a party that they threw to do this, and that in this party, it's all the victims of his. He's the previous owner of the home.
Steve failed to meet his contractual requirements about 3.5 years into a 5-year contract. He stopped paying any rent as he was supposed to and became a squatter.
And he cost you roughly
$150,000 plus attorney fees.
Katrina Freitag. I purchased this home from the Stroms, of which Steve Hickey has been squatting in since September of 2023.
How much in delayed or absent rent have you not received from Steve Hickey?
Since purchasing the home, so over 7 months.
Which would equate to roughly?
Upwards of probably $50,000.
Jessica Scotti and Chris Scotti.
What did Steve do to you guys?
Well, the home that we're sitting in, he basically backed out once he had quite a bit of money that he could get his hands on from our bank loan money from Flagstar Bank. So we basically were left in shambles with about $40,000 in liens, as well as about $90,000 in bank money that was still should have been accounted for that he could not provide the proof of where that money went.
So
that's a construction scam.
Now we're in the process today, of really vetting what's going on, and we're trying.
So not only is there the claim that he fucked this one person over by not paying rent, the guy sold the home, and now he's fucking her over, right? Because she owns the home and can't use it, and the construction scam.
To connect the dots and really follow the paper trail to see where this goes. Because what I
he got the loans are for it to build them a home.
Laid out to Steve was that his career was like on a rocket ship. Why would you risk everything that you've accomplished to allegedly squat in a house?
That was what was that? 100-some thousand followers on Instagram. Hold on. Yeah, it seems like with the career trajectory he got, 146,000 followers on Instagram, 1 million on TikTok. With the career trajectory he has. If this wasn't, all he would want to do is his name gone from this. It doesn't matter if he had to pay the fucking homeowner to leave. Oh, I owe you $80,000 in back rent. I'll give you $100 if you don't mention this to anybody. I'm out of this motherfucker. Right? I got 1 million followers over here, 200,000 over here, 2.6 here. Like, get me the fuck out of here.
To allegedly squat in a house. To me, that made no sense.
I know multiple people that invest with him that some of them just want to move on with their life. He wreaked so much havoc in people's lives. Like one of them was like, my wife threatened to divorce me. Like
investments. And I did see that he's got this. BMTconsultinggroup.com. What is BMTconsultinggroup.com? He has this link in his TikTok. And see, it's not even it's got a landing page, but that's it. And the email is Brent at BMT Consulting Group. Pacific car accident, victims left behind. RIFC, link to app, RIFFC. Rafik, I don't know how you say that. Auburn family home arson, Venmo, Steve Hickey, Instagram, Steve Hickey on Snapchat, Patreon, Pay on Cash App, YouTube, Cameo, Amazon, Wishlist.
Anonymous gifted Wisconsin 888 a subscription. An anonymous user gifted a tier 1 sub to Wisconsin 888.
Thank you for the gifted sub. Some memorial fund in another memorial fund, medical funds, medical expenses. I wonder if all these people are like his friends. GoFundMe. Bellevue officers GoFundMe. Red expedition victim. Blue Forester victim. So he's got all these victim funds for stories that he covered. I don't know. This is, that's him. So let's go back to his video.
I had to pull out a home equity line of credit to pay the guy off, to get him out of my life. He plays on people's emotional, and he just wears them down, and to the point where you're just like, I just need to keep moving on with my life. But he's wreaked havoc on so many, and allegations, but I know this is true from what I've heard. He stole from a quadriplegic vet, somebody who served and protected our country.
So the rumor is that one of his victims that gave him money to do something was a disabled veteran.
Okay, can you explain your guys' relationship with Steve Hickey?
Yes, I have no complaints about Steve up through 2021. Okay. It was in 2022, in April in particular, that he stopped making payments. And after April, we went through a phase where he...
It is uncontested beginning of April 22, the defendant became behind in his rental obligations to the plaintiff, owing $9,500 per month and a $500 charge for late rent. It is uncontested on May 24, 2022 and June 21st, 2022, the defendant paid $7,500 and $5,000 respectively towards rent, and that these payments lowered the amount owed, did not bring the defendant's lease payment obligations current. It is uncontested that beginning October 1st, 2022, the monthly rent lowered. So the guy even lowered the rent due to non-exercise of an option to purchase. Okay, so he was doing rent to own, or like a purchase agreement with this guy, $9,500. But then when he decided not to purchase it, it went down to $7,500. He's just renting now. And that as of November 6, 2022, the total amount defendant owed plaintiff, including late charges, was $6,300 and some, or $63,000.
Negotiate the deal. We never could come to...
It is uncontested on August 12th, 2022. Attorney Gregory J. Sklar personally served the defendant a 14-day notice to pay rent or vacate the premises and notice of eviction resolution pilot program. The 14-day notice advised the defendant of the
terms with each other on that renegotiation. And in June of 2022, he told us he was going to purchase the property, which was great. We, in fact, signed papers. Notary came to our
and he's probably got the money, or at least could get a loan to purchase it. I don't understand.
House in Arizona. Everything looked good.
Interpreting this lease, words in the singular mean and include the plural and vice versa. Words in the masculine mean and include the feminine and vice versa. The lease constitutes the entire agreement between parties. Time is of the essence in this lease. In witness whereof, Lee A. Strom and Stephen D. Hickey have duly affixed their signatures on this 22nd day of April 2018.
But the money never transferred. It never happened. And when I questioned him about that...
so he said he was going to buy it, signed an agreement to purchase, and money never came.
He just, at one point, just said, I'm not going to pay you.
So real quick, before you sold the property to Katrina, how much money was delinquent that he owed you via rent?
Roughly $150,000.
Was there any additional counsel or legal fees that you incurred throughout that process?
Yeah, about $32,000 up to this point in time.
Attorney fees of $20,000 per the lease, and $1,500, which represents the defendant's half of mediation fees that the defendant did not pay but was incurred. So he didn't even pay his mediation fees, and to get it done, the plaintiff had to pay them.
Because we were still pursuing him legally.
And during that 15 months of delinquency or lack of payment, did you try to evict him from the property?
Yes. In fact, we went to arbitration because our contract called for that. We prevailed in that arbitration. He was ordered to pay us.
Owner of residential real property, blah, blah, blah. I'm over the age of 18 and competent to testify in the matters contained here. I make the declaration based on personal knowledge. November 10th, 2022, the parties engaged in a binding arbitration pursuant to the terms of the lease agreement and pursuant to court order. The arbitrator orally ruled in favor of Mr. Strom and signed the arbitration award on November 18th, 2022 with input from plaintiff's attorney, John O'Rourke. attorney M. Owen Gabrielson, and I served via U.S. mail Mr. O'Rourke with a notice of hearing to confirm the binding arbitration. So they had to go to arbitration, which is a lot of times included in business contracts, is where you go and basically talk out the details, what's going to happen, what we're going to do, how do we come to terms on this, and they ruled in the favor of the plaintiff, of not Photo Steve.
Us, and he just ignored it, essentially.
Rather than paying the amount in full, he went to court with you and also incurred legal fees.
The way the law looks at it is one person's claiming to own it, the other person's claiming to own it. It's a civil matter. We can't tell. If they both want to fucking live there, so be it. But if you go and kick somebody's ass, all you're getting is the domestic criminal charge.
Battled it out in court?
We're still battling, yes.
To this day?
To this day.
So after a year and a half of not paying his rent, you sell this property while he's still in it to Katrina?
Yes, and we were very upfront about the situation at the time.
So they told him, look, you're not paying rent, you're not buying it, we have to sell the house. So they tell Katrina, we sell the house to you, but there's this guy in there that's not paying rent. You're going to have to evict him or something. We've been trying, but if you want the house, it's yours, and probably at a very reduced rate.
Was able to get him out of there and get the property back up to speed. Her equity will, I think, cover.
And Katrina thought he may leave?
I believe that's true, but you should ask her.
Attorneys have reviewed the situation. He was in the house, and I believe it was a 5-year lease agreement was to.
Oh, we need to read that. See how much we can see of it. Addendum amendment to purchase and sell agreement. The addendum is made pursuant to the attorney review contingency as part of the purchase and sell agreement entered in between parties on August 8, 2023, and replaces and supersedes the addendum. Damn it, I've got too much fucking. I need to get a drink. Bunch of metal dust in my lungs. And replaces and supersedes the addendum executed between the parties on August 8, 2023, and that the remaining terms of the purchase and sell agreement survives unless specifically modified either by this addendum or other subsequent addendum. Whereas the seller's parties to residential lease agreement, the lease with option to purchase, together the lease and option to purchase, dated September 22nd, 2018. The lease and option to purchase have been amended from time to time. Lease and option to purchase. It is the seller's belief that there exists a residential lease agreement and option to purchase, collectively lease and option to purchase related to the property, and as between seller and Stephen D. Hickey, Lisa Lundy, and all other occupants hereafter the tenants, which commenced on or around September 18, 2018 for a 5-year term, which term expires on September 30th, 2023. The lease is subject to the Washington Residential Landlord-Tenant Act. As part of the lease, tenant was granted an annual option to purchase. So every year, for 5 years, he had an option to purchase, and I'm assuming that $2,000 of his rent went to the purchase price. The option to purchase required tenant to pay an annual sum to seller to purchase the contractual right to purchase the property, in addition to the payment of rent by the October 1st of each year of the term. The lease agreement and option to purchase were modified 6 times, generally adjusting the rent amounts to charge the tenant and the payment terms for the option to purchase.
It was a 5-year.
The tenant failed to pay seller the annual option fee for the final year of the term. In addition, the tenant also defaulted in payment of the rent. So he didn't pay the option fee or the rent for the final year. To the seller's knowledge, tenant has not assigned any rights under the lease and option to purchase other than the limited assignment to Lisa Lundy, which appears on Amendment 5, dated September 30th, 2023. The option to purchase language requires the tenant not to be in default of the lease in order to exercise. So he cannot be behind on rent to exercise his option to purchase. Thus, it's the seller's belief that the tenant no longer has a contractual option to purchase the property. However, such a belief is not a warranty or promise. So this is telling the new owner all of this, and I'm sure she had it reviewed by a lawyer. She'd be stupid not to, buying a house with someone squatting in it. Seller and buyer, yeah, please support the show. The show's 100% funded by viewers like you. Help keep it going by coldbeer.fund. Thank you very much, Atsuko. Finally, a mod doing her job. Imagine that. Assumption of lease and option to purchase. Seller and buyer are parties to a purchase and sell agreement for the property dated August 8, 2023. The purchase and sell agreement, as of the date of closing, seller agrees to assign its right, title, and interest of the lease and option to purchase to buyer, subject to reservation of rights detailed below. Effective as of closing, buyer agrees to assume all duties and liabilities related to lease and any surviving option to purchase.
Lease agreement was to be up.
So she still might, if if this option of purchase was still valid, which it sounds like it's not, but if it was, she might still have to hold up her end of this option of purchase. But if he's in default at all, he cannot purchase it. Reservation of rights. However, seller specifically reserves and does not assign any claims of rights related to unpaid rent, utilities, late fees, attorney fees, court costs, etc. The total term of the lease commences at 12 noon on October 1st, 2018 and ends at 12 noon on September 30th, 2023 and is comprised, so this has already ended, of an annual option to purchase periods as described within this lease. So this has already expired in September.
You should ask her.
Attorneys have reviewed the situation. He was in the house, and his, I believe it was a 5-year lease agreement, was to be up end of September, and he had not paid rent.
So it was under your belief that he would leave the property at what point in time?
When I purchased the home, we submitted a vacate notice and lease termination for 90 days.
So it ends September 10th, 2023. This is what he agreed to before. Your lease is up. I bought the home. Move the fuck out.
December 31st, he was to be moved out.
And did he move out?
No, he has squatted since, have not received any rent money.
He really fooled us, is what I would say. When he dropped off his first rent checks, he came in a helicopter and did it. He landed in the front yard in a helicopter.
What? It depends on where you're at. There are stand your ground laws. Castle doctrine in Tennessee.
Wow.
With the film crew.
He was actually flying the helicopter.
Earned it with what? I still smell like bacon.
That's awesome.
It really just made us feel more sure about this guy.
Why did he fly in with his rent checks in a helicopter?
He's steady financially.
That's the con man part of it.
So you've never gotten to move in, enjoy the home?
No, the primary purpose was for my primary residence with my 4 young children to be raised in the residence, enjoy
a beautiful
the property.
home.
Financially, how much has his occupation or squatting in the property cost you thus far?
Just in rent alone, that's about $50,000. Attorney's fees, I did have this point with
You may hate my guts, but I beat up yours.
my current attorney. It's upwards of, I would say, $40,000, including damages caused to the home itself during site visits. It is not being kept up as well as maintained at the very least. So.
So now they got all these pictures of the maintenance laxing and stuff. It seems more like he's a squatter and don't give a fuck about this house. He knows he's going to lose it.
I believe that's upwards.
Unless there's enough I think milk is now $300 a half gallon. So unless there's enough donations tonight, I can't afford it. Sorry.
Probably another $75,000 to $100,000.
And why did you agree to speak with us about the situation?
Feel it's the right thing to do. Not only supporting landlords in Washington State, but King County as well, the current timelines in getting a show cause hearing to actually get a squatter out. And what is that doing to those landlords?
Can you guys explain your relationship to Steve Hickey?
In 2020, right, we met with him to interview him to be our builder for this home.
This beautiful property with a triple rainbow behind us.
Thank God we were able to keep it after what he put us through.
So you contacted Steve and asked him to do what specifically?
Well, to be our builder. Steve basically was approved, and then we went through the process of basically allowing him our entire loan
So that was a time lapse of him being in a studio. Apparently he's some type of builder as well.
construction fund that was allotted to us to build this home.
Did you vet Steve at all before you hired him?
Well, based on the fact that he put our children on his fire truck, he was a man of the community. He was sitting.
This is a long way to say no. Did you vet Steve at all before you hired him as a contractor? He put my kids on his fire truck.
And then we went through the process of basically allowing him our entire loan construction fund that was allotted to us to build this home.
Did you vet Steve at all before you hired him?
Well, based on the fact that he put our children on his fire truck, he was a man of the community. He was sitting at District 47 as a commissioner, fire protection agency. I mean, he had his whole shtick down. So we just proceeded. So he was literally wired our money every time we got a bank wire for supplies or the next phase in the project.
How much money in total was wired to Steve for the construction of this home?
The total amount that was in question that he should have showed receipts for was about $90,000 that he just skipped town and walked away with. We said, show us where the money went.
And he said?
And he said, no.
And then what happened?
And after that, the communication went silent.
The stress of it. My husband has an autoimmune disorder that's triggered by stress, and he almost was hospitalized. Our children were traumatized by this experience.
Yeah. How would you characterize Steve from your time meeting him and spending time with him? How is he as a person?
I mean, he's a criminal.
Do you think he'll try to lie to us tomorrow when we confront him with the evidence in case?
Of course he will.
Was Steve a white-collar squatter, or does he?
I got a small dick, but wait till it get home. She gonna be like, damn.
Thank you for your contribution. Not nearly enough. I don't even slow down when I go through the red light at the gas station for less than, $100. Thank you though. I appreciate it.
He have rights to the house? And if so, is the legal system broken in Seattle? It was time to meet Steve himself at his own garage sale at the property he's alleged.
So Steve's having a garage sale and they're going to it.
squatting in as we speak.
I don't know how he's going to respond, Tyler. So I'm hoping that it's respectful. I hope that, he shares his side of the story. I hope that this is all a misunderstanding.
Well, I know in a perfect world you don't pay people. So here's the problem. A lot of people say I don't pay people until work's done. There are really good high-end contractors that get fucked over as well, and they won't touch a project until a percentage for at least the materials is covered. So, like, I've been screwed over on this before and telling people, like, oh, yeah, I'll do the sheetrock, blah, 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 whatever, in the cabinets. And then I go out and purchase materials, and they never reimburse me, right? Something that falls apart, do this, do that. So I don't think you should pay 100% up front, but I don't think the contractors are willing to take a risk just on, $50,000 worth of materials. I wouldn't, right? If you can't trust me to pay me for the materials, why would I trust you to pay the rest of the bill when I spend 50, you know what I'm saying?
Frankly, Steve has so much to lose. So I'm wondering why he would take this risk and gamble, because he has a career as an independent journalist. He's an elected fire commissioner.
There is a guy here that in this town that ran a landscaping business. Me and Mariah were just talking about him the other day. That had like 30. So he only had 2 crews. He had 3 crews. He had 2 lawn mowing crews and 1 hardscape crew, like bricks and patios and pavilions and shit. Landscaping still, but outside the house. He had over 70 projects booked, construction projects, not just mowing, booked, never scheduled, and a percentage of them paid when he was fucking arrested with 1 crew. And let's say the average project is a week. They're not. Some of them will take months, right? Let's say the average project's a week. He's booked like a couple years out until they finally busted him because he wasn't returning calls. He was ghosting people. He wasn't giving people what they asked for. So he was arrested. It was a guy that we went to school with, even though he's younger than me, much younger than me, a little bit younger than Mariah, I think. But anyways, they went to school together, and he got busted and went to jail. This was like 2 years ago. He's already back out and has another company open. Already out and has another company open.
He's got a family. He's got a daughter. So let's see what he has to say.
Okay, so with eviction notices, confirmation via court confirming Hickey's failure to pay since February of 2022, and text between Steve and Jonathan giving Steve a chance to explain what...
Oh, I guess we didn't get to see those, but there are texts between the Chinese-looking guy, the one that looks like Itsuko, but a guy, and you think, man, I don't want to give that guy my TikTok information. He's probably spying on me. That guy, he's got texts back and forth. It says, Steve, I'm just a messenger. She's getting ready to call a press conference next week, and multiple outlets are about to attend. I think she is serious about not backing down. Send me what documents you have that will exonerate you. This is getting out of hand. Will do. What networks are actually willing to go to this? And I really appreciate you making sure I'm not blindsided. That would be sided. Blindside. And that's why I'm going to open all docs to you as a sign of trust and appreciation for the care you're putting into this. Like right now, you're a folk hero in the community, but overnight that would go away with any negative story, which is why I want to vomit in all honesty. Please weigh the costs. Either way, I know you will work it out with your attorney. Steve, any update on your end? This guy claims that he's going to send him the docs to prove that he's not doing anything wrong. Nothing ever happens.
Between Steve and Jonathan giving Steve a chance to explain what was going on 2 weeks ago.
Oh, I guess we didn't see. Hold on, there was more there. I thought there was just the 2, but... Now, it seems like all the court paperwork supports the everybody but Steve. Will be when I get home tomorrow, and I have my files. My attorney is also sitting down with hers Monday to try to see what settlement looks like from her end. Her attorney was also told if she continues to make a mess of this, then the meeting will be canceled. Okay. Then it says, Landlord Rights Advocacy Group gave them my number since my stories have gone national. She claims you're squatting on her property. I didn't know how to respond, so I told her to send me the document. She says she's about to go nuclear and contact the media. I'm trying to understand what's going on here. I told her I know you professionally and that you have a strong rep in the community. This seems a little wild. Does she have the wrong person here? Call me.
Steve and Jonathan giving Steve a chance to explain what was going on 2 weeks ago. That Steve eventually ghosted after saying he would personally send Jonathan's way. How would Steve defend himself?
Oh, shit. There was the one I wanted to read. I didn't realize it had a bunch of videos between it. This guy's been interviewed by some, like, this guy's blowing up, dude. I would love to be in this dude's position, and he's going to piss it all away squatting in a house. I would love to have this many viewers and be covering shit, have this, making this much money off social media. He's going to piss it away squatting in a house. I'm going to send you docs, and you only. I don't want them going all over the place as it's part of a court case, but I want to make sure you know what the reality is and who I actually am. Thank you again. Now, again, I'm going to read this again, and I want you to be thinking while I'm reading this. Does this say that Steve will send documents to the Asian guy? I'm going to send you docs, and only you, and you only. I'm sorry, and you only. I don't want them going all over the place as it's part of a court case, but I want to make sure you know what the reality is and who I actually am. Thank you again. Now, does this say that Steve is going to send the documents or not? Because he's fixing a lie about this.
How would Steve defend himself? Does he have any evidence that he could present that would invalidate any of these claims?
So far, I haven't seen anything, and I've asked him now for nearly 2 weeks to produce something that would show that he has a right to stay in the property. I've given him every opportunity.
Maybe it is a big misunderstanding.
I hope it is.
We're going to go there now and give him a chance to speak for himself.
Let's do it.
Let's go. Steve, how's it going, man? My name's Tyler. So we're doing a piece on squatting here in Seattle. We wanted to reach out. My name's Tyler.
Yesterday, right?
What was that?
You turned out a hold of me.
We wanted to ask you a little bit about that, actually. Okay, yeah. I appreciate that. How are you doing today, by the way?
Okay.
Are you calling the cops? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, come on, we can do it.
Okay. No, we wanted to give you an honest chance to just kind of explain it.
So as soon as they promote him, or as soon as they approach him, he gets them away from everybody else, and he's calling the cops.
My name's Tyler. So we're doing a piece on squatting here in Seattle. We wanted to reach out. My name's Tyler.
Yesterday, right?
What was that?
You turned out a hold of me.
We wanted to ask you a little bit about that, actually.
Let me slow this down some.
My name's Tyler. So we're doing a piece on squatting here in Seattle. We wanted to reach out. My name's Tyler.
Yesterday, right?
What was that?
Attorney got a hold of you guys yesterday. The attorney got a hold of you guys yesterday.
We wanted to ask you a little bit about that, actually. Okay, yeah. I appreciate that. How are you?
Come on back here and let's get the cops. Is that what he says? Let's get you caught up.
I appreciate that. How are you doing today, by the way?
Okay.
Out. My name's Tyler.
Yesterday, right?
What was that?
The attorney got a hold of me.
We wanted to ask you a little bit about that, actually. Okay, yeah. I appreciate that. How are you doing today, by the way?
Okay.
Are you calling the cops? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, come on, we can do it.
Okay. Oh, we want.
Yeah, come on, we can do it. Are you calling the cops? Is that what's happening? Yeah, come on, we can do it.
To give you an honest chance to just kind of explain it.
You didn't fly out here for an honest chance. You know that.
What do you mean?
You
didn't fly out here for an honest chance. You know that. You wouldn't fly all the way out here to give me an honest chance. They're just asking you, buddy.
Fly all the way out here for an honest.
What are you talking about?
Apparently, they're online YouTubers. That's what they're saying. One of them's Jonathan Cho. Another one is Tyler Oliveria. Well, they're here with microphones in my face, wanting to ask questions, but I want you guys to get out here as soon as possible because they've already told through the attorneys not to come on the property.
Start from the beginning here.
I'll tell you, there's been an ongoing real estate contract dispute. I know Jonathan's making a name right now, bringing out a squatter out in Bellevue, which is a clear squatter. He's been doing quite well with that. This is not that. This is a real estate transaction gone bad. The litigation shows that. We are currently in litigation on this. I come in here giving the previous owner hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash for rights to purchase the property. He then blocked me at every turn to execute those rights. That's what we're in contract for. I'm not going to give you paperwork that's involved in an ongoing litigation. If you guys
So his claim is that he paid for an option to buy and the guy blocked him. But still, that's something that's settled in court, right? And you don't continue to fucking just sit there without paying. You would still keep up your end of the, even if he's blocking your purchase to buy, you go to court, you still have to pay the base rent.
You guys want to do that? So if you have paperwork, have at it. I'm not going to participate in that show. Does this look like a squad? Is it piles of trash and so on? Like, this is not that type of situation.
Steve was right. Technically, he's a holdover tenant. And here's a lawyer explaining the
All right, so here's the difference between a squatter and a holdover.
Difference.
Well, in Seattle, we make a distinction, and actually across the state of Washington, between squatting and, say, someone who's a holdover tenant. Let's say I go away on a vacation, and someone breaks into my home and starts living there. That's a squatter. That's different than if I rent someone else a home, and then they stop paying me. Now we have a legal dispute about debt and how much they owe, and...
Yeah, but at this point, does he not have the money? Or be able to qualify? I don't care if he's got 1 million followers and he's turning revenue, the numbers of revenue, what, $20,000-$30,000 a month, probably minimum, off his social medias accounts, and then I don't care what his credit score is, he could finance a fucking $1.5 million home.
the condition of the property.
So squatting, holdover tenants, two different legal categories altogether.
Yeah.
She owns the home, right?
Mm-hmm. She bought the home, yes.
She owns the home.
We can keep playing this game or you can let me speak. Which would you like to do?
The previous owners have stated you failed to pay rent for a year and a half. Is that accurate?
The previous owners breached contract.
In what ways?
It's all in the paperwork. They breached contract, failed to perform.
It's all in paperwork, but I can't show you.
And then I withheld performance after they failed to perform. It's just that simple. Should have breached contract.
In what ways?
It's all in the paperwork. They breached contract, failed to perform, and then I withheld performance after they failed to perform.
So he's claiming that he stopped paying because they didn't do their part.
It's just that simple. She should have not closed on the home. She should have let this resolve itself and done a purchase pending this resolution. I was blown away that she was willing to close under that pretense. No savvy buyer would have done anything like that. She is a savvy buyer. Why is nothing after me, though? Why do you think that is? Instead of the 100 other people who've actually taken money, was willing to close under that pretense. No savvy buyer would have done anything like that. She is a savvy buyer. Why is nothing after me, though? Why do you think that is? Instead of the 100 other people who've actually taken money, because one of his big narratives is Kim's been taking money to cover his rent, right? From this, that's never.
Now listen, Ken has been taking money from the start from this. From taxpayers, from this group that's funded by taxpayers. Ken, who's the other guy who lives in the $2 million home that everybody's talking about, has been taking taxpayer money to pay for his legal defense and for his rent. Ken is. I'm not. Ken is. Except...
Never happened here. That's not what this is. This is a real estate purchase contract gone sideways.
But the truth is, after requesting court documents from King County and reading hundreds of pages of case documents, Housing Justice Project was, in fact, involved and legally represented Steve in the early stages of this process. Now
So before Steve could afford a lawyer, before he started making all this money to get a lawyer, the Housing Justice Project was his lawyer. They were funding this case. So he says one of the differences is they're not trashier. We've seen photos of the maintenance dipping, right? The maintenance has been dipping on the home. It is a squatter situation. The other thing is I'm not using taxpayers' money. He 100% was. Before he blew up so large on social media, this is his lawyer, Edmund Witter, managing attorney, Ken County Bar Association, Housing Justice Project. This was his attorney that appeared on his behalf for free.
Legally represented Steve.
So that's two big lies that he's been caught in. There's going to be a third one here where he claims he never said he would send the documents.
In the early stages of this process. Now he has a new attorney fighting on his behalf. Well, I want to emphasize that this isn't just about you. You're an example.
I don't believe it's just about me, but for you to fly all the way out here and come here, especially
we flew out to the state of Washington.
Steve, here's what the fact of the matter is. You said you'd send me documents.
I did not say I would send you documents. I said I would talk to the attorney.
I did not say I'd send you documents. He said, I'm going to send you documents, but you only. I don't want them spread around everywhere. I did not say I would send you documents.
Well, we flew out to the state of Washington.
Steve, and this is a guy, this isn't playing syntax and being like, oh, you're trying to catch me on a gotcha. This is a guy that was in a desperate situation that someone was trying to defend him. He knows. He writes news articles. He knows the wording matters. If he says, I'll send you documents if my lawyer will let me, he knows that's 100% different than I am sending you documents to prove I'm innocent, but only to you. Please don't spread them. They're coming your way as soon as I get home. He knows the difference.
You said you'd send me documents.
I did not say I would send you documents. I said I would talk to the attorney. You can get anything you want.
Jonathan, can you read the text? Go.
There it is. I'm going to send you docs and you only. I don't want them going all over the place as part of a court case, but I want to make sure you know what the reality is and who I actually am. Thank you again. I'm not covering this story yet, if at all. If it's not there, if you got the documents and it's just a matter of a court case and who knows who's right until the court decides, I won't cover it.
Go for it. I mean, I have the text right here. We now have more than a dozen other victims who say you've run a construction hustle.
That's bullshit.
So you can take this, but this all goes away if you show documents that show you own.
Imagine just having this contract dispute, this tied up in court. We had a contract dispute. It's not that it can't happen. It absolutely can happen. We were promised 5 years with a lease option, an option to purchase, 5 years. We got not even 3 years into that, and the guy called me and was like, hey, you either need to give me all the money now or get out. He said, you got 30 days to give me all the money for the house or get out. I found the money within 30 days. Then he refused to sell it to me and said, actually, you had to have the money that day, the day I called you at 3 p.m. I needed you to have the money before close of business that day. Like, we were in a contract dispute, right? But when I was in this contract dispute, 12 other people didn't come in and say that I hustled them, in a construction fucking scam.
Own this house without squatting.
So you want me to show you documents that are part of ongoing litigation?
Yeah. Well, Steve, can I ask, why would you be opposed to simply showing a lease agreement you have
Because we're
that's
in
valid?
court arguing. Why wouldn't you actually support the law system that is in place here?
So how did you pay for those 15 months? Simple question.
He says, why wouldn't you support the law system that's in place here? So he is technically taking advantage of the system, right? He's not going against the system. He's not supposed to be leaving and hasn't. Like, he's using the system to his benefit.
He did not. He failed on his end of the contract, which is what
Did you pay for those 15 months?
He failed to end on the end of the
How
contract.
did he fail?
He did not let me execute the contract as it said I could. It's been very clear in the court system.
Can you elaborate?
No.
Now, while Steve refuses to...
No. All he has to say is, like, I wanted to purchase it. He didn't let me. Or something, some shit like that. I can't even tell you how he failed. I just can't tell you.
Elaborate, the fact that he has refused to pay rent and remained in the home for nearly 2 years remains clear.
But it seems like you're going to string this out for as long as possible.
I will continue to fight this in the court system as I've been doing, and I will continue to do so. There is not an eviction proceeding on this right now. There's no such thing.
Well, we have a 90-day eviction notice in here from Katrina.
I've not seen that.
Okay, let me show it to you.
There is no eviction. There is no eviction here. Well, we have the eviction notice. I haven't seen
90
it.
days notice to evict?
No, I mean, I would have seen anything that went through the court process I would have seen. I don't remember seeing this.
What's weird, Full Throttle Legal Messenger Service gave this to him in person. He had a copy of it. Regular mail, certified mail to everybody named in it. And in person. I've never seen this.
You've never seen this?
No, I don't remember seeing it.
This court document was, in fact, personally served to Steve in hand.
But I've never seen that.
Got it.
Personally served to Steve in hand.
Staying on that 100%.
The question is, why are you staying here when you don't own this house?
I repeatedly. You keep wanting to spin it every which way you can. No, you don't believe that the court system can handle anything. You don't think that civil litigation... Oh, interesting.
They're really cops. How you guys doing?
Cops are here. Now, this is hilarious. Let me slow it back down. This part with the cops is fucking hilarious. To think that this is the system for people that stay without paying or that squat. Listen to this interaction with the cops. Thank you, Suze Bretzler, for the resubscription.
So is he the owner of the property?
Yes. Almost 2 years.
Proof of ownership here?
Who are you?
Independent journalist.
And this is your house?
I'm the one, yes.
Can we see the lease agreement?
No, it's none of your business, okay?
What do you mean?
Well, I'm telling you, if this is his property, you have no right to be here.
But our claim is that the owner of the property has said we have full permission to come here.
Who's that?
Katrina.
Oh,
Katrina.
This is her lease. She gave us permission to be here.
So, where's she at?
She's been advised to stay away by his attorney because he's allegedly squatting. He's allegedly a squatter.
And you guys are here to
do a story about squatting.
Okay, so you're just not here to do a story. You're injecting yourself into this. Is that what?
What the fuck does that even mean? This is the dumbest argument. When someone covers something and people don't want it to be covered, people do this with Phil. Like, okay, I cover Phil's court case. So you're injecting yourself into this court case? So I'm covering it. That's how things get published and out there.
What I'm getting?
Do you guys have a previous relationship we should be aware of?
No.
Not at all.
It should be as simple as him providing valid ownership of the...
Him for his lease, sir.
He doesn't have to provide it to you.
Why is that?
How about to you, sir?
No, it's a civil problem.
Wait, so anyone could come to any property and say, I own the property?
So anyone could come to any property and say, I own the property?
And you kick the other person out? With that being said, I own the property. Can you disprove otherwise? And if you can't, can you prove he does?
Here's the thing is,
yeah.
I don't care what property you own.
Sure.
Okay.
So could I come to your house and say I own your property?
No, but you're purposely injecting yourself in here to draw attention to yourselves.
What are you talking about?
Why are you here? You're here
to get his side of the story.
Maybe he doesn't want to give his side of the story.
Which is why he called you to kick us out.
It's a civil problem. We're looking up the plot ownership right now to see who owns it, register with the county.
So that's the due diligence you guys should do.
Here's what I wish. I wish I would have shaved better, got my hair done so I looked better for this thing here.
You look good though.
Okay.
So when you say it's all civil problem, can you explain what that means?
If the woman says it's her property and he says he lives here and she says they're squatting, she would have to go to court and go through the entire legal process to have him evict.
Okay, but I live here now.
Well, you do?
Sure.
Well, good for you.
So kick me out.
But I live here now. I live here. They can't do anything.
It's a civil problem.
Okay, so we're roommates?
That's done through the courts.
So, sir, you're saying...
So I've officially moved in as of today with that logic.
and I have a bedroom in the second room.
We can go through this all day long.
But let's simplify it. Let's just look up who has the title here. Okay, we can both agree that's crazy logic, though, right?
Steve, I can set up a tent here tonight, and you can call the King County Sheriffs, and they can't kick me off because it's a civil matter.
Well, tonight, no, we could.
What do you mean?
There's a time frame. You don't live here right now. You can't just move in instantly. Have residence.
Dolphin dive through the window, set up a tent.
Still have to live here.
Or an invalid. I have a lease right here.
I'm not telling him he doesn't live here.
I do live here.
How long have you lived here?
10 months.
Well, then you live here.
I'm not telling him he doesn't live here. I do live here. How long you lived here? 10 months. Well, congratulations on your 10-month ownership. It's been a pleasure to serve you guys. I'm out.
So here's the deal.
Talk to me.
So this property's in conflict over a civil court about who owns the property, who doesn't, between this gentleman and lady.
And who else?
Katrina Freitag.
Freitag,
So he right now by court he has legal right to be here.
Legal right to be here, as do I.
No, he is part right now until the court decides what's going on. He has the right to be here, and he owns the property until he
owns the property. That's what you just found?
It's in court.
Okay, but this is my property.
Oh, it's not your property.
Yes, it is.
You're not in the civil thing.
Disprove it.
I just proved it on the phone in the CAD.
Who owns the property? We have
Katrina Freitag and this gentleman they own the property.
They both own it. So Steve aside, this has become a broader Washington dilemma here. Well, there's a civil thing between the three of us potentially now, because I also live here.
Good. How do I know they're the owner?
I also live here.
I mean, I have the title right here.
Well, you could have typed those at home.
Exactly.
So that's what you're saying.
That's my whole point. Yeah. This is literally my point.
I know.
Do this to the camera.
While the Housing Justice Project was initially created to prevent homelessness during COVID and to provide legal representation for low-income tenants facing eviction in King
Good
County,
job,
now it's-
Tyler. Good job, Tyler. You've regained some respect after the situation with Mark.
To protect alleged white-collar squatters who refuse to pay rent in $2 million plus homes they're renting, all at the cost of taxpayers working to survive paycheck to paycheck. What is the point of owning a home in Washington if the law will legally protect someone trying to steal it from you? And what is the point of a law?
It's crazy they can't even ask him to see a valid lease and then can't. So it's not even about who owns it. He's claiming that he's renting it with an option to buy. He's leasing it. They can't see a valid lease and then call somebody and say, are they current on their lease? No? Okay, bye.
That no longer represents what it needs to be moral or ethical. Is that not a broken law?
Please don't say you're going to come to my house again, all right?
Okay, I mean like that.
You will regret it.
And go follow Jonathan on X at
So the cop says, please don't say you're going to come to my house again. You'll regret it. Motherfucker, you just told him the law. He can go set up a tent. What are you going to do? It's a civil matter.
Show for an in-depth investigation into Steve Hickey and updates along the way.
This is crazy.
Go follow Jonathan on X at Show for an in-depth investigation into Steve Hickey and updates along the way.
Happy Black People's Day. I can't do any banking or anything. I will wire first thing in the AM. I'm sorry. Didn't know they were closed today. Ooh. It's not a good look for the social justice warrior of Steve Hickey, is it? Happy Black People's Day. Ooh. How crazy. This guy that 1 million people follow on TikTok is squatting.
I now have far more detail about the man that troopers shot yesterday on northbound I-5 near Marysville. It turns out in the hours leading up to the shooting, this man called 911.
How often do you think, since he's a firefighter, fireman commissioner or whatever, a fire commissioner, that he uses this truck for a backdrop of a video that he plans to monetize? I know that's not allowed. I used to work for a municipality.
To let them know that he intended to go to a family member's house in Marysville to kill somebody. They then were looking for that vehicle and notified multiple agencies to be on the lookout for the vehicle and the suspect. On the way, he ends up coming to this construction.
Like if it's just there and he takes a picture of it, that's one thing. If he says, "Hey guys, let's get this truck out here in the sunlight. I want to use it for a backdrop," or he doesn't even tell him, just like, "Let's get this truck out here," and then he uses it. I know that's not allowed.
Construction site, obviously already in a poor state of mind, gets very agitated, gets out of the car, starts attacking construction workers. One of these construction workers, he repeatedly strikes that person's head on the ground. He's fighting multiple at one time. They back off. It appears he tries to steal one of the vehicles. At that time, the trooper pulls up. Trooper gets out. It's not clear yet if he articulates that this is the person that they're looking.
By the way, while we're speaking on TikTok, and construction workers, I saw a construction worker playing a dangerous game the other day. So this guy's at the construction site with like 10 coworkers where they're parked on like employee parking while they're doing a shutdown. His girlfriend or his wife or whatever always leaves hair bows in his car on this little like cup holder thing, like center console. This motherfucker goes over to his coworkers' cars and just flips a hair bow in underneath the passenger seat, shuts the door, and goes on. Can you imagine what's going to happen when their significant other finds a hair bow that does not belong to them with a different color hair? Hell, Mariah has to come smell my crotch once a week just to make sure I ain't been meeting up with nobody.
Looking for or not, though it's at this point thought that he did. They get into an altercation. The man has something in his left hand. The trooper pulls out his gun, shoots him 3 times in the chest. It's over. The full video is on my RIFC account. You can go to my link tree to be able to view that video. I can't put it on here or I'd end up getting my account banned today. I also have understanding that the trooper is pretty new. It sounds like he may have just recently got out of the academy, one of the most recent academy graduates. A lot's going to be coming out. I'm not putting out the man's identity yet or the family's identity. We're going to let that take some time, wait till the medical examiner releases his identity, and then I will use that as my documentation. I'll update you more soon. I now have far more detail about the man that trooper shot yesterday on northbound.
I'm trying to find the...
It turns out in the hours leading up to the shooting.
The video, I just can't believe this Steve guy. Like, what is he... Like, listen, even if this is a court case, you've got money, you've got fame, move out of the house to a much cheaper place, make sure you're current on all your bills, and go to court, right? What are they going to do, go in there and tear it the fuck down? Like, if you have an option to buy, you can prove that in court that they violated the contract or whatever. Like, I guess I don't know. I don't get this. Is this it?
Hi everyone, Donut here. We got a couple of shootings for you
Seattle,
today.
Washington,
The main
yes.
shooting just warms my heart. A kitty diddler gets shot a lot by Seattle police. It just makes you feel pretty wholesome when things like this happen. When actions meet...
He's got too much to lose to be squatting in a home. And I hope when the rest of this has just recently come out, like that video from Tyler came out today. Cho did a post about it yesterday and today. I hope when social media finds this, he fucking loses everything now.
Consequences. They shot him so much, I'm pretty sure they set him on fire. Let it burn. We also have someone in Memphis that learns cops can and will choke slave.
I live in King County, Washington. Last week I had a 40-foot abandoned RV on my property. I own the private road. Oh no.
Your ass. And some random loser that has to impersonate a federal agent just so he can... Nurse man picks a fight with the Memphis Undertaker. At first, what we have is 2 police officers. They're currently in the process of placing a man under arrest.
This has the video of the guy that Steve was originally covering that was in the army or whatever that showed up to fuck kids in the Sting. Wait, it's the last video, but we'll watch it in just a second. This is Donut Operator if you don't know.
When what appears is one of his friends just might want to go too. And at this point, that's enough to be detained, really. Approaching officers, acting like a little ass. So I really don't think this next part is too much. You let me know in the comments, though. Dude just blew away like a cigarette wrapper. Even the officers were surprised at how easily he just blew away. It was like an elementary school student being shoved. He took a fall like a soccer player.
Jesus.
Even his buddy who was arrested told him to back off. Because remember, don't fight the cops in the streets. Fight them in court if they really did something wrong. Get paid. But this Maple Leaf wanted more, I guess. He just got back up and kept going. And it seems like everyone around him...
Don't be sticking your finger in my fucking face.
...knew what was going to happen next, except for him.
Hold on, Mike. Hold on.
Trying to stand up for the homies. Stop resisting!
Did you see the...
I practice that sometimes in case, like, all the cops disappear one day and I have to be commissioned, because I'd be the worst cop ever, unless every other cop on earth disappeared. then I just start screaming, stop resisting at everybody.
Lightning speed of that officer snatching that larger than average sized toddler. After our guy here repeats that he didn't do shit, I think it was like 8 times, old Yellow Pants just does some random community service. What the fuck was that? Let's look again. He was planting evidence, not removing it. That's what he meant by I didn't even do shit. My bad, man. Now, after all of this, both men were taken away, but our featherweight Jenga tower was released after 2 hours without bail. Gotta love the criminal justice system in general. On to our next video in Atlanta, Georgia. Last time I was there, I saw 2 homeless men having a knife fight. September 1st, 2023, 3:04 a.m. Officers respond to a vehicle accident.
I saw 2 homeless men having a meat fight. That one of them was jacking off to Nick Alvear with his hair wet in the phone line.
But when they arrived at the scene, there's not a lot adding up.
Officers located disabled SUV in the roadway, which matched the description of an at-fault vehicle that was provided by 911 dispatchers. So this is a hit and run, potentially, and this car is just sitting here disabled.
What's going on, man? Somebody just hit us at the red light. This is my husband. Is he okay? Sir?
Responding officer observes that the passenger of the vehicle is in handcuffs. Initially, the female driver is unwilling to provide a reason why the male passenger is in handcuffs. What? Somebody just hit us at the red light. Why is he in handcuffs? They handcuffed him and hit us at the red light.
He in handcuffs? Why is he in handcuffs? I can't answer no questions, sir. Hold on 1 second. Leave him there. 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 Radio, can I get a photo of my location? I have a black...
What the fuck?
Male with lacerations to his face.
That's insane. As if this guy wasn't having a bad enough night with his face slashed and then handcuffed. On his way out of there, he got T-boned. It turns out the guy was very drunk. So they talked to his wife to figure out what in the freaky Atlanta is going on.
Hey, how did he wind up in handcuffs, love?
Once medical personnel arrives on the scene to attend to the male passenger, officers again question the female driver, and she indicates that she and the handcuffed passenger were at a nearby club prior to the auto accident.
How did he wind up in handcuffs?
Sir, we just left the strip club.
Which strip club?
Swinging Richards.
Okay. I got you. Over on RDA?
Yeah.
I got you. Okay. Did you guys get into it with security over there?
Yeah. Sir, I don't know.
Okay.
All I know is that's my husband.
Gotcha. Say less.
I'm going to grab your
Appreciate it.
I don't know.
Okay, that's fine. You're good. What's this?
So he got into it with security at a strip club. They cut him up and handcuffed him.
1306 radio.
The wife wasn't very cooperative at first, but she eventually came around to tell the officers they were just at a strip club, where one of the cops there handcuffed him, but her and the man made a run for it. So they decide to go and try and figure out why this man is handcuffed and they're fleeing a strip club. What is going on? By the way, once you see the strip club, Peaches...
Oh, I've been to Peaches.
Everything starts to make sense. I'm pretty sure
left some cream.
The dude in the picture there is holding a bag of shit.
You mean or stuff?
Actual shit. The kind that comes out of your ass, Joe.
Would you look at that? What a wonderful establishment. Now, once officers arrive, they get some good news. Homeland Security is there. Ooh, the feds are up in this. Kind of an odd place for Homeland to be at 3:30 in the morning. But
nah, clearly you've never seen the expense reports from the CIA.
Pretty sure their mission statement is to safeguard the American people, our homeland, our values, and them titties. But let's continue.
Where you work?
Officers drive to a nearby club in an effort to find out if the dispute occurred prior to the auto accident.
Homeland. Okay. Did y'all have some shit up here a little bit ago? Male and female get into it with anybody?
Yeah.
Left in a pair of cuffs?
Yeah.
All right. What was the story with that?
They were just...
Security officer for the club identifies himself as the Department of Homeland Security Special Agent and states that he placed a male into handcuffs before the male ran off. So he's not even DHS. I was wondering why they said, "Who do you work for?" and he just said Homeland, like the fucking TV series.
Just drunk. And
whose handcuffs is he wearing?
Mine. He took off.
So he's not even police, dude. He's pretending to be police.
In the SUV and took off.
Yeah. I mean, it's Metro. to fair, so like almost down to 166, wiped out real hard. Hurt some people, hurt themselves.
The officer does a little research, which I'm pretty sure just consisted of him thinking.
What is going on in Atlanta? That's Jeff B's black counterpart. That was his partner at the FBI. Number 2, number 3, number 4 at the FBI.
Like half a second. Then he confronts our federal agent. Homeland Security at a strip club at 3:30 in the morning. Of course, that's what they
Not a soul in sight. City's looking like a ghost town on a moonless summer night.
Right.
Sorry, 3:30 in the morning got me going. The officer observes the alleged DHS agent's story is odd, and so he is detained for further investigation.
All right. Here's what I want you to do for me, okay?
This is actually, not a lot of people know this, but this is the agent that I sent to the Seahag's house and was ran out of town. This is the same DHS agent I sent there.
Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take your firearm off your side. Okay.
Oh, okay.
You got just syrup.
And he's carrying a gun out. He's got a thin blue line thing on his vest that says "Police, you cannot do that."
Yeah.
All right.
He was at the Ranger convention. That's not even a real vest. Hold on. Bro ain't got no plates. He ain't got, look how thin that is. Bro ain't got no plates. I don't even know if a plate would fit in that. Looks like fucking printer paper. Bruh. It's got a big elastic band tucked into his love handle. This is the cop uniform you get for Halloween, dude.
Yeah.
All right. Place that in my car. I'm gonna detain you for right now.
Okay.
Jax. Police. This is a Halloween party city.
Right now, you are.
Look at that elastic band. That is not a vest that any fucking reputable person who wants to wear a vest to protect them from guns would wear.
Not under arrest. You're just being detained for the further investigation here. Do you have a
unofficial badge and radio are removed.
In the car.
Keys in the car?
Yeah.
Who's the radio through?
eBay. Nobody.
eBay. Bought that radio on eBay.
Okay.
Just for looks.
Radio? No.
eBay? You mean to tell me Homeland Security doesn't pick up shifts at strip clubs made out of cardboard and piss? But it gets better.
The license plate is up.
Officer investigates suspect's unofficial police vehicle further, and it is discovered that the vehicle is bearing government license plate that belonged to a school bus. Bro, you can't be so hard up for government plates you steal them off the fucking Blue Jay. The cheese wax. This is why sex trafficking is so rampant. The DHS is just out here on a shoestring budget.
Off of a Bluebird school bus from Tucker, Georgia. That's how you get a GD tag.
Check this thing.
The attention to detail for this titty agent to steal a school bus license plate so he had government tags
just so it says government service on it. It's black and white tag. It says government service.
This car. This is definitely some Atlanta shit. But this idiot ended up where he belongs.
Suspect is identified as 49-year-old Terrence Jax. It is confirmed that Mr. Jax is not a Department of Homeland Security special agent. Well, fooled me.
As well as the woman driving the vehicle in the crash because, well, she was drunk driving and was found to be at fault for the wreck. And her handcuffed, slashed up husband ended up being arrested as well because he had warrants. Welcome to Peaches. I mean, you kind of...
She's drunk driving, gets in a wreck, flees, claims that someone hit her. He's got warrants, handcuffed, and he's cut up by a fake federal agent who stole his tags from a school bus.
Kind of have to expect this from hanging out at a place called Peaches in Atlanta, Georgia. A place that literally doesn't sell peaches.
You know, I can eat a peach for hours.
And even then, maybe. Them peaches is spoiled. They're ruined.
Anyone want the last olive?
Those aren't olives. Those are peaches.
Moving on to our final video.
Here's the one that Photo G Steve was covering. The guy from Seattle that shows up to meet. This is the body cam footage of it.
that I was telling you just makes me all warm and fuzzy in my heart. The Seattle Diddler Mag Dump Extravaganza. Trash bag needle poke diarrhea city, USA. 3:13 p.m. at a double tree
Diarrhea City, USA.
Tell Seattle police officers who are part of an Internet Crimes Against Children task force are getting ready to arrest a man who is under the impression he's going to meet two
some lemonade?
young girls.
Let me just get some lemonade out of the back.
Ages 7
behind
and
this
11.
black curtain. If you show up to fuck anybody and their walk-through doorways are covered in black curtains, run. Because there's either a serial killer about to fillet you or Chris Hansen and a buttload of cops behind those black curtains. Why? Let me get some lemonade behind my blackout curtains. I'll be right back.
11 when he gets to their hotel room. And what he actually gets is a room full of cops.
Hey, Officer Thomas, Seattle.
Before the cops can
he quick on a draw.
Announce their presence, he pulls a gun out. Yes, this is a 67-year.
I always force my way through the hug. It's the black sheets hanging in the doorway that gets me.
Old man going to meet up with a 7 and 11-year-old, and he already has a gun on him. Surely he wouldn't have done anything bad, right?
Don't call me Shirley.
Hey, Officer Thomas, Seattle.
And he fires at one of the officers, grazing their leg. Luckily, the guy is an old as out of shape diddler. I can't say the P word. I think YouTube wouldn't like that very much, which means he's not very accurate. He just couldn't get that aim down quite right, but the officers, their aim was very good.
This is the guy that has all the military connections.
Gun. And you kind of see the sneak attack from the officer on the right. Sneak does 2 times damage. I may or may not have a photo of the body, and the officer on the right who fires the first 2 initial shots that puts the guy on the ground may or may not have shot him right in the...
Oh, yeah.
Well, let's continue watching this body camera footage.
Right, dick shot. That's what I always start with, a dick shot. It really breaks their spirit. If the first thing you do is blow their cock off, they might be there for a gunfight, but their heart's not in it. All those poor ducks.
Shots fired, suspect down. Help the officer.
At least they're not in like a crowded hotel. They're just shooting down at the floor below. Fuck your continental breakfast.
Officer.
That one officer didn't even have enough time to...
Check out the mini bar. It's full of hot lead.
Properly two-hand his gun. He just shot like a gangster. Which I don't know if you guys know, if you shoot a lot, your natural hand placement on a gun when you're shooting one-handed is not quite sideways, but it's canted.
Yeah, it is.
Because that's how your arm punches out. Do you remember the video that I did where the dude in the prison took that correctional officer hostage, and then the one officer pulled one-handed, boom, hit him at the top of the stairs in the head? If you watch that video, you'll see his hand is canted because that's the natural way that your arm moves when you're holding your gun.
What's this? Boom. Talk about a good shot. Jesus Christ.
We also have some pretty interesting body cam footage from the third cop. It's the couple shots that I was talking about before that makes the suspect groan like a cave goblin that just took fall damage.
Get him.
Gun.
Is he about to shoot the suspect in the...
Wang! Pay attention. Gun.
Jesus
Goddamn
Christ,
right
dude.
he did.
Remind me never to stay in a hotel with a sting going on. Jesus Christ.
Let's get a slow-mo. All right, just one more time. You know what? I might just make this entire channel watching diddlers get their shot off from now on.
I'd buy that for $1.
Suspect obviously didn't make it past this incident, being hit with so many rounds, and the officer who was hit in the leg doing very fine, according to a police spokesperson. But to one of the biggest...
He does it. They don't have to. When you have like actual body cam footage that's been released, you'll hear the gunshots. But obviously, he wants to stay as monetizable as... This is business, right? He makes hundreds of thousands of dollars off this a year, so... Anything that he can keep monetized, he does. But he has another channel where he releases raw footage. We'll go check it out. Hold on. See if he's got it up. Raw footage, yeah. This won't have him on at all. But see, it's already demonetized. And it also will not be suggested to anybody.
There you go. It's your time to Seattle. Gun.
Were they all aiming at his dick? That'd be weird. If they had like a plan when they're like, if this motherfucker pulls a gun, let's see who can hit him in the dick the most.
Shots fired. Shots fired. Suspect down. Help the officer.
Camera 2.
Gun.
There was that word I told you never to use. Gun. That's all it took. I'm telling you, if you ever get pulled over with a firearm, say the word firearm. Do not say the word gun. Listen how quick people start firing when he just says, now he's already wrestling with him, and there's already a shot went off. Boom! And he's wrestling him. Nobody fires. What word does he say? Gun. Bow, 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 bow. Listen. Listen. That's a shot fired right there. Nobody shooting. And he's wrestling him already. But listen, not until they say the magic word.
Gun. Shots fired. Shots fired. Suspect down. Help the officer.
That's the magic word. Here's the dick shooter. Gunshot fired. What's the magic word, chat?
Gun.
No.
Shots fired. Shots fired. Suspect down. Help the officer.
Damn it fucked it up with this. I don't even know how to get those the fuck off there. Does anybody? Who knows? I don't think you can. Oh, well. There you go. There's the police footage. All right, guys. I'm out of here. Thank you for joining us. I can't believe that Steve is wrapped up in squatting. He's got so much to lose. So much to lose. And looks like I hope he loses it. If what he's doing to those people is true, I hope he fucking loses it all. Thank you guys for joining us. Hope you enjoyed the content. As soon as I saw that story, I'm like, I got to run with this because I've shown that guy on my channel as a reputable source. Not to say that anything's wrong with his stories, but still. There has to be some type of character applied to all of that. Thank you guys for joining us. Thanks for being here. Support us on the support us while we're offline at coldbeer.fund if you can. That's what keeps the show going. It's going to be a rough week this week, getting ready for Memorial Day. I'll try to be back after it next week on better times. I can't make any promises this week. It's just going to suck. See you guys on the next one. Have a good one. We didn't hit the fundraiser goal for chocolate milk. Thank you, though.
Bag happens to see this particular show, you don't have the fork and balls to call out the people on this planet by name and tell them exactly who they are and tell them the rest of the world who they are. You don't have the fork and balls. You don't have the balls.
She's already asleep and won't wake up till tomorrow, so it doesn't matter. Have Austin go get you. Oh, wait. My bad.
Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them beds, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't.
Dude, that metal where I've been like grinding and welding and shit. It's on old shitty metal, like from they use them as fire pits and they're old tire rims, so they're all rusted and shit. That stuff, like when I'm grinding, it like embeds its shit in my skin and it breaks me out so bad. I got so many bumps like on my chin and around the edge of my beard where it just like little microscopic piece of metal, and then your body thinks it's a foreign object and tries to push it out and makes it, I don't know, bumps on my chin and shit. Oh, did you guys see my latest TikTok video? I feel like I may have went too far, but somebody had to say it. Go check it out on TikTok. Cold Beer Confessions. Cold Beer Confessional on TikTok. Let me see if I can show you all the link.
I know immigration.
About immigration, that can't be good.
I think I started some shit. Piss him off, it's about to get lit.
There's a link straight to the video because Dr. J did it wrong.
You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. I used to find
100 people watching over on Rumble and 2 goddamn likes. What is wrong with y'all?
open his closet.
I'm sorry, 9 likes. What is wrong with y'all still?
To my shoes and then I
1 dislike. Dab G holding it down.
high on amphetamine with Trump in between. Put on a light coat of baby oil and saluted the troops. He tapped me on the shoulder and said, "This is gonna be it." Whoa.
That G stands for God damn, everybody hates that bitch.
Wait, what are you doing? Stop. Fucking stop. Dude, come on. Seriously.
I'm going to dislike it just to make 2 of them.
Damn it. Here we go, I think I started some shit.
You're welcome.
Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the bed.
Hey, guys.
You know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the beds, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen